could not come to an agreement on compensation. And so, in keeping with Green Bay's reputation, another deadline passes without acquiring more help for Aaron Rodgers. Brandon, let me start with you. How should Rodgers feel after no meaningful moves at the deadline?
Well, I got so many emotions here, Jenna, but you said something about compensation. I absolutely hated this as a player when we talk about compensation, because it's like, you know what you're going to get out of an established player, whether he's a Pro Bowler, All-Pro, or if he's a guy that's going to come in and just add some depth. You know what you're going to get. You have enough film to be able to make that determination. We don't know what we're going to get when we go into the draft. I don't care how many scouts you throw at this guy. He could be a #1 overall pick and be a bust. He could be the greatest wide receiver in NCAA history, and he makes it to the NFL, and you don't know. So for that reason, I hate when we talk about compensation, because when you have one of the all-time great quarterbacks, I would probably lean towards the side of being aggressive. We're going to talk about Maury later. Like, that's my type of approach, is because, like, you only get one chance at this sometimes. Like, it's hard to win a Super Bowl. Hell, I never even made it to the playoffs. So it's hard to get there. And when you have an opportunity to potentially win it, you do everything you can. But I want to say this, because we talked about it yesterday, Nick. I don't think it's about adding. I think it's about adjusting. To me, it's more of a scheme issue, because I don't understand how you go from being probably the hottest team in the NFL to trending in the wrong direction. Something is weird going on here, and Jenna, I got to watch more film. I need to see this week. I need to see tomorrow, Thursday Night Football, and then next week, and then I'll be able to tell you, like, what's going on here. Because when you look at this team from the beginning of the year to where they're at now, it's something funky, Nick.
All right, so before I address the Packers, just for the most loyal First Things First viewers, I just want to see if you guys caught what I did. That now makes it 3 straight days that Brandon Marshall, before 8 a.m. Eastern, has taken a drive-by shot at Baker Mayfield. Did you guys catch that? You could be the #1 overall pick and be a bust. Oh, who he's talking about? We know who he's talking about.
I wanted to say
I'm
Baker.
not going to let that slide, Mr. Marshall.
I wanted to say
I knew it. I knew it, but you stayed on topic, but I wasn't going to let it slide. Okay, so the Packers... When it came to compensation, the great Seth Payne, who played in the NFL and did radio in Houston, I think he made a good point, because part of it was the Packers wanted the Texans to pay part of Will Fuller's salary. And as Seth Payne put it, the Packers tried to use the Bill O'Brien coupon code only to find out it was expired. Like, those trades don't exist anymore. If you're going to trade with the Texans, they're going to have to be somewhat fair trades, so the Packers bowed out of it. But Wilds, I'm partially bothered that the Packers didn't make a move, but I'm almost more bothered that the move they didn't make was this move, meaning I think they have a fundamental misunderstanding of what their problem is. They are not a receiver away. They are not an offensive weapon away. Their problem is they are not a big, tough team against the run defensively. Their problem is they get beat up against teams that want to beat them up. So they're focused on adding rims to the fancy sports car, but once again, when you pull into the garage, you see foundations cracked, roofs leaking. And so when we saw a dozen defensive players get traded, was that not a good analogy, Wilds? When you see a dozen defensive players get traded, and the Packers aren't in on it, to me, it shows a misunderstanding of what their issue is, Wilds.
Yep.
I agree. I didn't know if the offense was the car and the defense was the garage, and then the foundation is cracked on the defense.
My apologies.
It's okay.
My apologies. Bad job by me.
No, it's a decent job. You know, it's a good car analogy.
You actually listen to Nick? Wilds, you actually listen to him? I just let that stuff go in one ear out the other and just wait for the facts. That's what I do.
I have a private transcriber. Transcribe it, and then I get it on email, and I read it all back. I read it to my kids at night to put them to sleep. That came out as an insult at the end there. You're supposed to be good.
You're fine.
Hey, here's the thing about the Packers. The Packers don't need Will Fuller. The Packers have a fine offense, so Nick is right. Here's points per game. Seahawks, Chiefs, Packers. Okay, Bucks, Steelers, all above 30. Almost 400 yards a game, are 9th best in the league. And 2 of the teams are Cowboys and Falcons, who just throw the ball around and lose anyways. So they're good. They're a good team. So the idea that we should like bang on the Packers for not adding Will Fuller so they can get even a little bit better? Do you want to be Seahawks level? I think it's just a non-story, Jenna. Unless Will Fuller's going to play defense.
Look at this. Our friends at Fox Bet, let's see where they are. So they've got the Packers with the third best odds at plus 550 to win the NFC. That despite them standing pat at the deadline, like we talked about. Bucks right now the favorite with the Seahawks at number 2. So it's Bucks, Seahawks. So Brandon, back to you. Can the 5-2 Packers win the NFC with the roster they have right now?
Oh, it's this guy again.
You know what? You have Aaron Rodgers. Something funky is going on right now, Jenna, but you have Aaron Rodgers, absolutely. Guys like Aaron, guys like Russell Wilson, guys like Patrick Mahomes can single-handedly win you 5-6 games themselves. So, yes, what they were doing at the beginning of the year, if they can get back to that, 100%.
So here's the reason why the Packers can still win the NFC. And in a little under 10 minutes, I think we're going to unveil the latest tiers. The committee and I worked all night. Some people were doing other things overnight. Finally. I have no idea what's going on in the world at large. I've just been crunching numbers with the committee on the tiers. So we'll see where the Packers are. But the reason why I still think they can win the NFC is because the NFC has a surplus of good and a scarcity of great. In the NFL, there are right now 2 great teams with a 3rd team with great potential. It's Kansas City, Pittsburgh, Baltimore. And then the next 6 teams are all in the NFC, but they all have an obvious hole or 2. So Seattle looks like the best team, but the defense is awful. Tampa, their best game has been maybe the most impressive game we've seen all year by anybody, the win over Green Bay. But we also saw them lose to the Bears and then come this close to losing to the Giants.
Oh, my goodness.
So they're up and down, right? No. Well, Brandon, do you disagree?
Right.
Like and so I think the Packers have a defensive problem. I don't think do you think the Bucks are a great team? Because I don't think they're a great team.
Yes, I think they're a great team. You're the only one. Okay. You're the only one that don't think that they're a great team because of your hatred for Tom Brady. So that's why every time we talk about it, I have to laugh. It's 100%. It has to be. You have one of the best defenses. You have an all-time great quarterback still getting it done, right? Offensively, you're adding Antonio Brown. You have other weapons getting back healthy. Why aren't they the great, one of the greatest teams? I just don't get it.
Well, then hold on. Then let me just ask you a question real quick. If that's the case, I know how high you are on Seattle, and you think Tampa's a great team, then I would imagine you think the Packers, while they might be alive, their chances are incredibly slim. Like, is that right? Like, that you think the Packers, the only way for them to thread the needle is for Aaron Rodgers to go into God mode for a month to just play play the highest level he's ever played for a month? Is that their path to you?
Yes, I think that the odds that Jenna just showed us are correct. And I think that if Aaron Rodgers play like he did at the beginning of the season, 100% he can beat anybody. You can put the Kansas City Chiefs and also the Pittsburgh Steelers together and Aaron Rodgers will have a chance. Aaron Rodgers was playing lights out. Okay. That's why these last 3-4 weeks have been alarming, because it's like, how do you go from that to trending in this direction?
All right, well, Nick mentioned it. He spent the night crunching those numbers with his committee all night, all the numbers, called me about 15 different times to ask my opinion. He's going to reveal his NFL tiers. That's next. You do not want to miss it. This is good. First things first.
Yes, baby.